Good morning, and welcome to your daily Farm and Home Show, brought to you by the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. And now, here's your host.
Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and we thought there for a minute that fall would never get here, but it has. And so this time of year we really need to start thinking about our homegrown fruits and vegetables and things we need to be doing. And Kevin Lyons, Monroe County Extension Agent for Agriculture and Natural Resources, is here to tell us about what we need to do.
Oh, the pressure's on.
I know, right?
It's right. Good to be with you, Joanna. And as we wind up this season, we've had a challenging season, seems like, in everything, whether it's farm crops, corn and wheat, soybeans have all had their challenges, and definitely home orchards and home vegetable producers, which is kind of our topic, maybe not the commercial producers right now, but those folks have had challenges too. The rainy weather that we've had has been a blessing, but along with each blessing comes a challenge sometimes, and it's just opened the door for, it seems like, every type of disease problem that you could think of has been there this year for a lot of those folks. Yeah,
I mean, we had some of our fruit crops freeze out where we didn't have any, but and then this massive temperature swing from 90 degrees, talking about light frost last week. But when we do go into that dormancy, there are some things that we need to be thinking about.
They are, particularly if you've had maybe a disease problem for the last year or two. Think about what you can do right now to prepare for next year and help kind of alleviate some of that potential for that problem to be so bad the next time. You're never going to completely do away with it, but you can just hope to kind of manage it, suppress it, keep it down to a level that you can live with. But one of the first things is, as we have these crops going out in your typical home orchard or your vegetable garden that's not covered, that type of thing, when you have that diseased plant, you need to do something with that crop residue, and that doesn't necessarily mean just let it lay there over winter, because that is a perfect habitat for that disease pathogen to overwinter in that old residue, and it'll just give it an opportunity to live there and be right back the next year.
So what's your recommendation? Just pull it out, not put it in our compost pile, right?
Because that is true. Used to, we could kind of think we could get by with that, but I think the recommendation is now, if you've got a weed problem or a disease problem, it's probably best not to try to compost that, because sometimes that maybe process doesn't go as we hopefully it would go, and you don't get a high enough temperature to kill those things out. So they recommend removing it and either taking it off in your trash removal service, or burning it, or maybe taking it way out and burying it somewhere off-site. It sounds a little more complicated sometimes than it really needs to be, but you need to dispose of it some way where it won't be a source of that pathogen next year.
Yeah, and Kevin, some people might say, well, I left it there last year. I didn't have any problems this year. Well, Mother Nature always decides to throw us something a little bit different each and every year.
That's right.
And we have to have that perfect disease triangle for those things to happen. So you might get by with it one year, but you're probably not going to get by with it the next.
Just wait. It'll come. Mother Nature is always going to find a way. And typically you can get by with it maybe 1 year and with one disease, but a lot of those pathogens or weeds in particular, that seed can lay there for several years, and then when things get right, it will come up. So you need to remove your weeds along the way too, and not just your diseased plants. And then the insects are another level of problem too. They can overwinter in the soil, so you have to kind of keep an eye on what you had go wrong this year, and maybe even make some notes about what it was, and make a little note about what you had planted and where you had planted it. And we mentioned crop rotation earlier this week. Just rotate that stuff around a little bit. I always think about this guy that called me. He had 3 tomato plants, and the first year it was this problem. We talked about what to do. The second year, same thing. I said, well, did you rotate it around? He said, no, I didn't. Next year he called the same thing. I said, we're going to have this conversation every year till you move those things around. So the rotation takes care of a lot of that. Then removing that old crop residue will help take care of a lot of the weed a lot of the insect and a lot of the disease problems.
All right, so some good sanitation, some good management, but now is probably the time to do all of that.
Yeah, and clean your tools too before you put them up for the winter.
That's true, because it can still remain there as well.
Very much so.
All right, a lot of good tips. If you have questions, make sure to contact your local extension office. We have a lot of information on all these topics that can help you have a great season next year. Thanks for watching.
If you have questions about today's topic, please call the Warren County Extension Office at the number on your screen. Thanks for watching and have a great day.